Our next exercise involves the setting up of two web servers. This is the GitHub location where you can download the source code. Now let's talk about the purpose of this particular plugin called Traffic Redirector. This extension is going to demonstrate how you can redirect outgoing responses, which are identified as the host from, and send those to a receiving host, which is identified in the program as your host to. If you happen to have traffic moving between two hosts and you need to change where that traffic is being directed, you can easily do that with this particular extension. Let's say that midstream, the traffic changes from being directed from one staging area to another staging area. This type of extension would allow for that. So if we start taking a look at the details, you'll see that inside of the process HTTP message function, there's a check to see if the host from is equal to the current host to service. If there is a match, then we're going to build a new HTTP service based upon the host to values. Now you're going to need a web server or a live application to run this against. You can certainly use the Node.js web server that we've used in previous exercises. You could also use Apache Tomcat if you like. It's really up to you. So your assignment is, I want you to modify the code, add debug statements. I want you to set the host from and host to values in the extension code. Now you'll see that I've set them to localhost, but you are more than welcome to set them to whatever value you like. Go ahead and start up your web server and start looking at your debug statements. So this is the answer key for exercise 2 Traffic Redirector. I'm going to go through the source code changes that I made for the debug statements. Then I'm going to import this extension into Burp. I'm going to start up Node.js as my web server, and then I'm going to show you the live demo of the extension with traffic flowing through it. This is the answer key for the Traffic Redirector Python plugin exercise. Now the first thing that you needed to do was to change the values for the host from and host to. Now I'm actually using the Node.js web server that we've used in other exercises and other examples, and I have that running on my local host. So I've made both the host from and the host to as local host. The other change that I've done is I've added a lot more debug statements. If you go down into the process HTTP message function, you'll see that I've got quite a number of different debug statements to help me understand exactly what this plugin is doing. First, you can see that there's an if statement that checks if the particular message is a request. If it's not a request, the processing immediately stops. If it is a request, we fall through down here. We're looking at the value of host to and the value of host from. So this if statement checks that if the value of host from is actually equal to the target that we're going against, then we're going to build a new HTTP service that will change the host from to be the same value as host to. Now, how this could be applicable in your environment is, let's say that you have some code that is in a staging area first and then gets migrated to a completely different area. You could use an extension like this to quickly change that traffic to be redirected to a different location. Let's go ahead and see the answer key version of this extension in action. So I'm going to load this into Burp. You can see I have my debug statements outputting. In order to see this plugin work properly, we're going to need to send some traffic through it. I'm just going to select the output tab so that I can see my debug statements as the traffic comes through. I'm just running that Node.js web server that runs on localhost 8000. We actually saw this in the example scanner checks that we looked at in the previous module. So you're welcome to use this same web server if you like. And so in the browser, I'm going to put some information inside of the input text box. Click Submit. And now if we look at our debug statements, we can see that we're currently running against localhost 8000. we get the host, which is localhost. We can see that the host to and the host from are the same, and that is the traffic redirector Python extension.